What did we like most about the Golden State Warriors preseason win over the Lakers? Warriors Podcast Recap. The Golden State Warriors opened their 2025-26 preseason with an impressive victory over the Los Angeles Lakers, and it didn't take long for fans and analysts alike to start buzzing. In the latest episode of the Warriors podcast, hosts broke down every angle of the matchup, from Stephen Curry's sharp shooting to Steve Kerr's lineup experiments and the emergence of key role players who could make a big difference this season. Though it's only preseason, this performance gave fans plenty to feel optimistic about heading into the new year. 1. Steph Curry's efficiency in limited minutes. First and foremost, the hosts couldn't stop raving about Steph Curry's effortless brilliance. Despite playing under 15 minutes, Curry made his presence felt immediately. He finished with 14 points on 5 of 7 shooting, including 3 of 5 from beyond the arc, before sitting out the rest of the game per Steve Kerr's minutes restriction. What stood out most was Curry's rhythm and movement. Even without logging heavy minutes, he looked game-ready, cutting sharply, finding open space, and hitting those signature deep threes that ignited the Chase Center crowd. The podcast crew emphasized that while Curry doesn't need to prove anything in the preseason, his sharpness this early suggests he's in excellent condition heading into his 17th season. One host noted, "You can just tell Steph is dialed in. He looks comfortable, confident, and his timing with the new guys, especially Butler, already looks strong. That's a great sign for where this team is headed." 2. Jimmy Butler's seamless fit. The second major talking point was Jimmy Butler's debut in a Warriors uniform. After joining Golden State this offseason, Butler was the focus of curiosity. Could his hard-nosed, isolation-heavy style fit into Steve Kerr's free-flowing system? The answer, at least from what we saw against the Lakers, is a resounding yes. Butler scored 12 points in limited minutes and played with his trademark defensive intensity. But more importantly, he adapted quickly to the Warriors' movement-heavy offense, making quick reads and finding open teammates rather than forcing shots. His leadership was also evident. He was vocal on defense and constantly communicating with younger players like Moody and Brandon Podziemski. As one analyst put it, Jimmy didn't come in trying to dominate. He came in trying to blend, and that's exactly what this Warriors team needs. He's a connector, not just a competitor. 3. Moody's breakout performance. If there was one player who stole the show outside of Curry, it was Moody. The young guard turned heads with his aggressiveness and confidence, finishing with 16 points and several key defensive plays. The podcast hosts highlighted how Moody looked like a player ready to earn consistent rotation minutes, something fans have been waiting to see for years. Moody's energy on both ends of the floor stood out. He hit big shots from the corners, attacked closeouts, and played disciplined defense on the Lakers' perimeter players. Kerr's trust in him was evident, and the podcast hosts agreed this could finally be Moody's breakout year. One of them summed it up perfectly: "Moody looks like he's tired of waiting for an opportunity, he's taking it. You can see it in his body language and decision-making. He's confident and composed." 4. Steve Kerr's rotation experiment pays off. Another major takeaway discussed on the show was Steve Kerr's experimental lineups. Instead of sticking with the traditional veterans, Kerr leaned heavily into a small ball setup that featured Curry, Podziemski, Moody, Butler, and Draymond Green. This lineup provided spacing, versatility, and defensive switchability, all things Kerr loves. The podcast praised Kerr's balance between developing young players and preserving his veterans. He limited the minutes of Curry, Green, and Butler, allowing players like Jonathan Kuminga, Trace Jackson-Davis, and Pat Spencer to get extended run in the second half. The move paid off, as the Warriors bench outscored the Lakers' reserves and maintained control of the game from start to finish. 5. Pat Spencer's hustle and impact. Perhaps the most unexpected storyline was the performance of Pat Spencer. The former lacrosse star turned NBA hopeful made the most of his preseason opportunity, contributing 8 points and 3 assists while energizing the team with his hustle. The podcast crew praised Spencer's toughness and team-first mentality. "He's not going to light up the scoreboard," one host said, "but he makes the right plays, sets hard screens, and gives maximum effort every possession. Guys like that win you games in April and May." 6. Team chemistry and defensive focus. Finally, the podcast highlighted the overall chemistry and defensive focus that defined the Warriors' win. Golden State looked sharp on rotations, talked constantly on defense, and played with purpose, something that wasn't always consistent last season. Butler and Draymond Green's communication anchored the defense, while the guards closed out aggressively on shooters. The team held the Lakers to under 45% shooting and forced multiple turnovers leading to transition points. The podcast summed it up best: "You can tell this group has bought in early. The energy is different. They're moving with urgency, playing for each other, and having fun again. That's the Warriors' brand of basketball. Final thoughts. In the end, the hosts agreed that the Warriors' 104-96 win over the Lakers was about more than just preseason success. It was a preview of what could come this season. Between Curry's continued dominance, Butler's seamless integration, Moody's emergence, and Kerr's strategic rotations, the Warriors looked like a team re-energized and ready for another run. As one host concluded, "If this is the version of the Warriors we're getting, hungry, connected, and balanced, then watch out. This team might be older, but they're still as dangerous as ever."